On that one, please.
Oh,
What?
and perhaps the person with the cat could be on mute until, yeah, thank you very much. Okay,
Maybe just wants attention.
maybe they just want their music back. You don't know.
Luna just does it for attention. Over
Yeah,
the
right.
break, so.
Well, it's 6:01 PM and I'd like to call the meeting of the South County Senior Center Board of Oversight to order. We have the entire board here, Dan coming in on Zoom. We have Carol, and we have Julie here as well. Let's see, meeting guidelines, you all know what that is. Discussion items, previous minutes for approval. Do we, yeah, we have those draft. Do you have any comments, Dan? On the minutes?
No, I'm good on the minutes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 3rd, 2025.
Dan unmuted.
Okay, since it's a hybrid meeting, I've got to do this by a roll call vote. All those in favor?
Aye, Trevor McDaniel.
Dan?
Yes, Dan Murphy.
Okay, aye. Joyce Palmer Fortune. The minutes are approved. Okay, we've got time for some public comment. I don't know, Carol or, oh, and I know you just told me your name. Julie. A third time's the charm. If Carol or Julie have something they want to say that is not on the agenda.
I'm just here because I'm interested in the building.
Oh, okay.
Thoughts.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, good. Okay,
Piece of it.
well, it sounds like people are interested in agenda items and not other things, so we'll move on. We've got 3 items under South County Senior Center moving forward as a general item. And it's divided into 3 parts. One is updates from the director, so why don't we start with that?
It's 4 parts, the other side.
4 parts, one on the other side.
Yep, so senior center director updates, just want to remind everyone that our annual picnic is on Wednesday, June 18th at Hurley Park. If you're interested in volunteering, send me an email, but I know Trevor, sometimes you come to help in the morning, probably gonna get there around 9 AM
9 AM.
to decorate and get everything set up. The tent will be up probably close to 8 AM.
Okay.
We pretty much have everything else situated for that. The Franklin County Sheriff's Office Triad is donating hamburgers, hot dogs and cookies. So if there's any cost, we haven't gotten an invoice yet, but in the past that they've basically covered all of that. So we'll be supplementing. Eagle Brook is donating antipasta salad and fruit salad, so we have
Great.
that covered. We'll also, we're debating on whether or not to do additional desserts or not, but we're definitely gonna have additional beverages,
Yeah.
water, soda, that type of stuff like usual.
Mhm.
Our theme this year is a yacht party,
Oh,
so definitely come for your 70s yacht rock.
that's good.
So, that's situated, staff's been working on it. We have some volunteers coming in tomorrow to help out with some, pre-items, but we pretty much have everything ready to go. We ended up having to cancel our legislative event last Friday because there was a state meeting, so unfortunately they were unable to attend. We're working to reschedule that. Between our schedule and the legislator's schedule right now, so we're not fully situated on that. Our next newsletter will be coming out, but we've got a lot of great things planned for the summertime. July, we should be receiving our new van.
Okay.
I had the graphic design sent over for confirmation the other week, so that looks great. It's nice, navy and white wrap, just around the sides and the name on the front.
Yeah.
With the phone number will be along the side, so if people have any questions, they can give us a call.
Good.
And our partnership is supposed to start in July with PTA. I'm in touch with Paul Burns about the contract or the agreement that we will have to work out, because we will be getting a used vehicle from them for that support, because that was the grant through MassDOT that
Right.
we partnered with them, so that'll be a year, and that'll cover 4 hours of salary, or up to 4 hours a week for 12 months, based on medical rides and things like that, so we're really excited, so the Mass in Motion progress has been really going well to basically facilitate that. Over the last, 2 years we've been working. Another update on Mass in Motion, there was just a town-wide, or should I say multiple towns met to go with FERCog over the Mass in Motion process. Chris gave an overview of where we've been working. And this year, the main focus has been on the tax work-off. So they've met with Becky Torres from Sunderland, talking about updating their process to be able to share things with Deerfield and Sunderland to bring those ideas to fruition on that. So they're making a lot of headway, and we've got a small group of seniors working on that, but it's it's open to the entire community to work on, because a lot of other people in the public have been looking for other ways that the towns could support financially for seniors and stuff like that. So just wanted to share that update. Tom's been doing a great job with coming up with creative programming. There's been additional field trips, but also local things that we're doing. Places they're going right in their, people's backyards that they haven't been to in a long time. So that's been
Yeah.
going really well.
Went down to the
Porter,
museum.
yeah, the Porter Phelps Huntington House was the
Yeah, we're handling.
Yep.
Yeah.
went to that. We went to the Quadrangle Museum.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
So we went to that, because they're free. Oh.
Free on
what happened
Wednesdays,
to
right?
them? Yeah, they're free on the first Wednesday of every month
Oh.
through the end of the year.
Okay.
So we just started going back. We had been to them before. Carol and Dan dropped off. I don't know what happened.
Oh, they're not, I'm
It's,
waiting.
oh, there we go.
There we go.
So that was really well attended. We usually go out to lunch after, so we went to Red Rose this last time again.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get a new group of folks every time we go. And this time we went to the Fine Arts Museum, and some people went off to other areas, but we
Yeah.
always have the same, meetup time
Yeah.
location.
Well, that's good.
And the weather was perfect, so we could not complain about that. August, we have our informational fair and cruise night. We've
Yeah.
gone to the Sunderland Elementary School,
Okay.
so we're gonna have it in the back there. We are not going to be offering a rain date this year, just because the school's schedule, the 20th is their last week off, and the next week people will be there.
Yeah,
Well, if it's not on a Saturday, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
It's rained every Saturday since March.
yeah, it's a Wednesday, we'll be
you
great.
should be good.
We've had amazing weather the last few.
Yeah.
Also, we had a really good turnout for a movie on Friday that we subbed, instead of the legislator thing, we showed Nona's, which
Oh,
was with Vince
was that
Vaughn.
good? Nice.
Yeah, Tilda Swinson and, Lorraine Bracco and a few other famous actors.
No, very
We
nice.
had about 19 people, so it was really well attended. So, sometimes we throw, replacement things in there.
Yeah.
And good. I've already been getting asked what we're doing for funding once our donor funding has ended. I responded with an email, I blind carbon copied the board.
Yeah.
I've already applied for grants. I haven't heard anything back, and I'm not doing anything more until we hear back, because we did include that line item for $3,000 for movement classes. And I didn't hear anything
Yeah.
negative from you about our budget not passing with Whately, so I'm.
Oh, it's, yeah, it's fast, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So that $3,000 for the movement classes is in there.
Okay.
We have had some members recently take ill, different people for different reasons. So a lot of those folks have been mainstays at the center. So I just wanted to share that. So I can let you know who's had issues, if anybody's interested in names offline.
Yeah.
But pretty much, we're doing really well, staff's doing great. Once all those big grants reports were done, been able to breathe.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So,
Good.
go with that. For usage data, I don't have numbers for you today, but I had
Yeah.
emailed those out before, so, just wanted to share. I didn't update anything new, but can
Yeah.
double check. I believe we are currently
We
over.
got two, I think I
Yeah,
saw.
I'm gonna.
I made an error
when I pull up.
in,
Well,
that Joyce had corrected, so that when, thank you for that, when I was typing out my body, but the information was correct on the scan
Yeah,
and then below. I accidentally included the next age bracket down when I was doing that,
Yeah.
because I was doing it here, and unfortunately, sometimes it's
Yeah.
not always quiet, so.
Yeah, I have to confess, when I did it, I found the download button. So I downloaded an Excel file and I just used the Excel to add whatever the parts I
Very
wanted.
Yeah, I just went down the
So,
next row,
yeah.
so.
So that is, no. It's
But
not really cheating to use Excel.
No, it's
Right.
not. I do wanna let you know, so far for this year, what we've had with, people coming to center, or people who've joined center for this year, if that's okay,
Uh-huh,
since
sure.
January. We've had 60 new members join since January. And a lot of that was, we had done quite a bit of marketing in the reporter and online and postcards for the community forums. In January, we had 17 new members join. In February, we had 12. In March, we had 20. In April, we dropped down to 5, and in May, we dropped down to 6. But, you know, given what we're doing and everything.
Yeah.
60 new members is pretty good, and I'm not balking at that.
January to May. So,
Yeah, so that's 60 folks. And then for those who've been participating this year, I just, a calendar year, not fiscal year. We've had over 506 people come to center
This calendar
This-
year, this
since
2025.
January of 2025 through today's date. We've had 506. And to break it down by age.
Just. a
Oh,
question,
go ahead.
Not 506 different individual people, these are 506
Individual people.
individual,
Different.
oh, these are
So
distinct
Yeah.
individual people.
So-
Oh, okay,
we've.
so it's gonna be many, many times that.
Yeah.
In terms of like usage number.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
I just wanted to share because we've been really good at keeping up with this, and I just want to share.
Yeah.
So we
Good.
have some members who are 55 and under, so 55 through 59, we've had 6 people come. 60 to 64, 14, 65 to 69, 69 people. 70 to 74, 113, 75 to 79, 123. 80 to 84, 93. I'm not counting ages below 55, but we do have some members who do come, whether, disability or other thing, there's 5.
Uh-huh.
And ages over 85, we have 83 people in that category.
So we're
Um,
definitely,
yep. In town,
top heavy in
Yeah.
terms of
yes,
age.
and then in town folks, that's all 3 of the towns,
Yeah.
439. Out of town, which is anywhere else,
Right.
including like Leverett, Shutesbury, Conway, etc.
Yeah.
67. So, we're doing really well with that.
Mhm.
And we have, 97 of those folks live alone that we're aware of. So I just want to share that because I know it's something we've talked about in the
Okay.
past.
You said, so that's almost 20%.
Yep,
Yeah.
and 71% of our members, identify or are, as women, and 145 identify as male. So I think that's important to note. We're top heavy, with female members as well. But we've been increasing our membership with men. We've been offering a variety of different classes and different events. So we're really working
Yeah.
hard on that aspect too.
Hey, when we get that game room, we're gonna get.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Well, because people can come in every day to play cards. We've
Yeah.
had people ask about playing pitch in addition to cribbage.
Mhm. Pitch
But
is fun.
cribbage is like the only card game day we really have every month that's
Yeah.
consistent. And sometimes people come in randomly to play a hand here and
Right.
there. But so I think that's important to. So just wanted to share that for where we were, and you were talking about event statistics. So just
Yeah.
to show this for this year. So unduplicated, so total swipes, 493 people.
Now, how's
were
that different from the
signed in.
503?
This is the some people may come in or get services versus.
Oh,
attend
we're deciding
events.
event, okay.
So let me
Yeah,
go
okay,
back.
but so then there's just somewhat
Yeah.
category or
Let me,
two that are
no,
not
let me
being.
go to,
counted in
sorry,
there.
let me go to this other one for summary, because this will have the logs and the other things on there.
Okay,
So that'll take place. This, so events, we've had 493 unduplicated individuals attend 6,826 times. We've had 20 unduplicated individuals
it's almost 7,000.
receive 148 rides. Not including today because I didn't add my person for today. 88 unduplicated individuals receiving 369 services. And we've been better at figuring out the log thing. We weren't really doing great on logging all of our phone calls in the past. So meaning if Julie were to call up and ask a random question and, or they're a member, we can log that in the system. Before we weren't tracking that. So 157 unduplicated people call or received 516 supports on phone calls and
Mhm.
questions and things like that.
Yeah.
Wow,
So we're really focusing on trying to make sure we
Capture data.
capture that data
Important.
because we
Yeah.
realized. We were going back through as a team and trying to figure out how do we do this. And we had more training through my senior center to understand if a person from the community who's not a member calls and asks for service, how do we do a quick tracker?
Right,
And we were thinking Excel, but then they showed us that you can go in and you can pick use the phone icon, you enter the phone number and you don't enter a name, but you enter a phone number.
Yeah.
When they called, who took the call and everything, because you're logged in by your own specific identifier.
right.
yeah,
On the system. So we've been really trying hard to capture all of that, so we have more
Yeah.
accurate data. And I think that's important
It
because
is.
there's, people who aren't members who just have random questions of where to go for services or who do I call and. Sometimes they become members,
Yeah.
but not always, and that's okay. We're here
Yeah.
to be a resource and that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. So,
and that you're a resource for people who are other than the members.
yes, yes.
Is an important thing
Yeah.
for us to be able to quantify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 506 unduplicated individuals have received a service or a phone call or a ride or attended an event 7,859 times. So I
Wow.
think that's really important
Yeah.
to express. So I know that we were asked in the past about people who are considered members. Now the log piece is gonna be people who are not members that would be
Uh-huh.
included in there.
Okay,
Because they're people from the community, but rides, if a person requests a ride, we have them fill out a membership form because they're getting a service.
Yeah,
right.
It's same with attending events or, getting longer term service
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
us. So,
And membership doesn't actually cost anything.
nope, membership
It's
is
just-
free. We
yeah,
don't
yeah.
even charge for the little key cards. Like I know Northampton charges
yeah.
$2 for that, but to me, I think it's important people have free
Right.
access to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
service and you're not gonna pay for that. We
When you say
implement
key
that.
cards, they're not really key cards to the door.
No.
No,
just-
it's
like
kiosk.
the nice-
It's the kiosk, it's basically when you go to the
Yeah.
grocery store, you have a scanner code, barcode, so you scan that. We did purchase a new kiosk, the other one was more than 15 years old.
Yeah,
So we
So this
paid
can make it
$1,650 for that. But the cool thing on this is it's much more user friendly with a touchpad. The other one was fickle, didn't work. It kept, every day we'd have to come in and restart it. So I was like, all right, I guess this is,
Yeah.
yeah.
with the grant money, we purchased other computer stuff. So with this one, we were able
Yeah.
to use that. So,
Good.
which is really great.
No.
So,
Yeah, because it captures the data, which is.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So it's not really a key card, it's a little.
it's
Yeah.
a scanner card,
Scanner card.
scanner card. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not a key
cause I'm
card.
not, yeah,
at the door, no.
I want a key card if there's a key card.
Yeah.
Why not have a key to get mine?
Yeah, there you go.
So, but I just wanted to give you, that information. The team's really been working hard at capturing data every day. And making sure that we're up to date on pieces, as much as possible. Sometimes it's a little tricky. And, but, if we have questions, we email customer service or we try to ask each other. And sometimes, I'm learning new stuff and that's, it's like, oh, I didn't realize I could do that.
Right.
Because sometimes my senior center's training videos aren't always user friendly.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's better to email them with specific questions.
Okay.
But, so yeah. So I wanted to make sure. So
Okay,
that is it on usage data, unless you
Alright.
have any other specific questions. I can break it down by town while you're talking about something else if you're interested.
not necessarily, not necessary at this point.
Okay.
I'd say. Okay. All right, well, great. Well, let's go on then to update of current intermunicipal agreement. So I will,
We've done some, yeah,
You can-
crunching numbers, right?
I did crunch some numbers. Let me just remind everybody what we are. So I'm okay to share now?
You should be.
Okay, no, it says I just.
Yep,
sent
hold
the
on,
request.
just got it loud.
Okay, then.
The same multiple percent,
Yeah.
everyone else is on there, super good.
There we go. So,
I allowed you to do it.
now, I hit the
Okay.
share button. Okay.
It's like, where'd it go?
All
Alright,
right, so this is the document, we went through a bunch of it at the last time we met to discuss these things. The main places where we had some things, the Board of Oversight. I took this back to my board and discussed it a little bit, just this one part.
Okay.
So I wanna point out here where I'm highlighting is three words that I added. The Board of Oversight shall be composed of one member of the select board of each member town or their designee.
Yeah,
And
and that makes sense,
so it doesn't have to be board of selectmen member, but it should be
appointed by that.
appoint somebody who they they don't have to be a member of this senior center.
Right.
I should just be like flat out, they may appoint me
Right.
and I may not
And you may
always
not
be a selectman.
board. Right,
So
exactly,
even after I'm off the select board, they may say, hey, can you continue?
correct.
So,
And that makes
and
sense. I
and
think
that
we would
kind of. I thought we should allow that, and my board asked if I would bring that up.
Right,
I don't know, Dan, do you have any objections? On that, I don't,
he's muted.
he's muted,
I don't have
Yeah.
any objections either way.
in some ways that person, since they're not on a select board at that moment. Is not necessarily as powerful, but it may,
Right,
so you'd wanna pick somebody
yeah,
carefully.
and that's up to the town
And
and
that's up
that
to the-
select board to decide, okay, we
Yeah.
think this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, if you had gotten off the board, may wanna continue.
Yeah.
Or they may want you to continue.
Right.
Or,
So that's one change.
yeah,
The other change that we need to talk about is the apportionment.
well, before that,
Okay.
we were talking about, members of,
I'll bring you a file if you'd like to look at it. The reason that I want it to be an advisory, because I went through files from 2009. And they were looking to make the senior center an all volunteer senior center, and then there were people who were in a what's the other word we were talking about using?
well.
Begins with a C.
They were gonna be
Consortium?
advisors,
Consortium.
right?
They were a consortium, and it's the frontier situation, and that's what evolved to have this. That's why I wanna go to
But that's
advisory.
why I thought we were gonna have a COA member that was going to, not particularly be a voting member, but was sitting on the board and advising.
Oh, that, I just wanna make sure it's advisory stays.
Yeah,
Cause
And
that's,
oh, and then, okay, it's there, so
Yeah.
I
Right
didn't
there.
read the second sentence yet.
The second
Under
sentence,
me.
yeah. In addition, each select board shall appoint one active senior center member
Yeah,
from their town.
right.
To the
doesn't have to
board
be a
in an
COA
advisory
member.
capacity.
Right.
And that's taking a baby step,
Yeah,
right? It may be that someday we won't have to worry about the history from 2009.
correct,
we do
But-
right now.
But
Yeah.
it's close enough that.
yeah, that's fine, that's
um,
fine.
Small steps.
Yep.
Right?
I think that's good.
Dan, wanna chime in?
Yeah,
We've
Dan.
taken it off of you, but then we're back.
Yeah, Dan, do you have anything you wanna add on that before we go to the funding formula? I wonder if someone is,
Sir.
there we go.
I'm okay.
All
You
right,
good with that?
okay. The next place where we wanted to get some more information was this apportionment formula. And we talked about two options. One was doing it based on population. And here I wrote it in terms of the most recent federal census for each town.
Yeah.
And then option two, was to look at usage statistics. So, I'm gonna move over to
A different.
a different tab, hold on, I've got to scooch back down.
Similar, right?
There we go. Well,
Hello.
I don't know if you want me to go through all of the
Not
math.
necessarily, but.
But if I took, this is population data from the US Census. The
Yeah.
2020 data had some small adjustments made by the Massachusetts data or the
Yeah.
census people.
Okay,
So, I ran the numbers twice, once if we count seniors as being 50 and over, once if we count them as being 60 and over.
okay,
And maybe I should make that look a little bit bigger so people can see a little bit better. And its focus is on Sunderland, Deerfield and Sunderland at the moment there.
yeah,
If I just take the total number of seniors from all three towns.
yeah,
That's just taking those numbers and the one
Yeah.
for Whately off to the side.
sure,
And that, of course, repeats itself over here just to help me make the
Yeah.
fractions.
yeah.
So these are total numbers of people over 50, over 60.
And that's for 2,000 for the first column.
That's for
2010
2000, yeah, exactly, 2000, 2010, and then 2020 for that column.
Got
We
it.
didn't have access to information from
How much they
1990.
grew
Yeah,
Time frame.
yeah,
They
yeah,
doubled.
we doubled the 60 plus and we
Wow.
almost doubled 50 plus.
That's incredible.
Okay, so we are, all towns are
Aging.
getting
Yeah,
older.
in Western Mass,
Um,
for sure.
And the fraction for Deerfield has been pretty steady, 56, 54, 53.
Right,
There's trend of approximately 1.7% per decade.
yeah.
So
So it's
this
pretty
means that
steady,
it's pretty steady and it's not huge.
right,
So
Yeah.
like year to year fluctuations are gonna be much smaller.
right,
Than that, presumably about 10 times smaller, but it never works
Right.
out exactly evenly.
yeah,
If we count seniors as 60 and above, we have very similar numbers.
yeah,
56 to 57%, 54 to 53%. It would have been a little bit bigger in 2010, a bigger difference.
right now our apportionment is what, 50, 25, 25?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's. pretty
So
close.
this would be like, if we were to enact this now, we'd be using
Yeah.
these 2020 numbers.
Right,
And the state goes by 60 and older, just so you.
State goes by 60 and older,
Yeah.
so it's likely to be that one, and I'll just
Right.
make that
54.
really bright green.
yeah,
But-
okay, yeah.
But we do, we consider anyone 55 and older, and then
Part of the-
AARP considers 50 and older, so
Yeah.
there's,
But they're
there's
pretty close,
variations,
it's what,
yeah.
Yeah.
one digit,
Yeah.
1% difference,
If
yeah.
we look at Sunderland
Sunderland's next,
is next,
Yeah.
so Deerfield would go from 50% to 54%.
Mhm.
Sunderland to like
27,
28%,
yeah.
right, roughly.
Yeah,
And I trend as a percentage of the three towns, right, not as a percentage of your own town. It's increasing on about 1% per decade,
yeah,
and Whately similar.
yeah,
So let me make that a really bright green too. So Whately would go down by a few percent.
mhm,
When I looked at usage statistics. And we gotta remember, the data is not very good earlier on, so I only
Right.
went back to 2022.
yeah,
If I went back earlier, it just looked like it was the Deerfield Senior Center.
sure,
Because-
right.
Because
exactly. No
for
usage.
any number of reasons.
Yeah,
But by the time we get to 2024. This usage
yeah,
is not that much bigger.
right,
It's a few percent bigger for Deerfield.
yeah,
For Sunderland, it's a few percent bigger.
Yeah.
And then for Whately, it's a few percent smaller, but
yeah,
look at the change in
Yeah.
Whately. I think I think the
Word's
usage data is word's getting out. Things are happening at town hall related.
Yeah.
And I think the usage numbers are gonna start. We would wanna keep looking at it.
Yeah.
The usage numbers are gonna converge with the population numbers.
yeah, I think so, once we have a space of all people can.
Yeah,
use.
and that, and so many things have changed, and I will say on the record that I think Jen has had a lot to do with that.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Worked really hard to make the center a really open and welcoming place for
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yep, yep,
So, if we were to go with usage statistics, it puts a bit of a burden on us. And we're collecting all our own data, and it's not like we shouldn't collect it and we shouldn't compare. But I just think for planning purposes,
Population is a
the
little.
population, it to me makes more sense to do it that way, especially given how it's gonna be converging. And if I go to the finance committee and say our percent went down,
Yeah.
that's.
And I go to ours, it doesn't go up that much.
Doesn't go,
It's
it
pretty-
does,
it's pretty-
and
pretty
also it's not a large, it's not like Frontier going up by 4%
Right,
or something.
Exactly.
Because that's a third of your budget.
Exactly, this is much smaller budget for
This is a
sure.
much smaller, absolute number.
And Sunderland's doesn't go up too much either, just, you
Yeah.
know, it
About
from 25 to
3%,
3%
yeah.
up, so it's not that big
Yeah.
of a difference.
So, I feel like, instead of driving ourselves crazy.
Right, collect, I mean, we're still collect all. but I mean,
Because for planning purposes, if you
Yeah.
know in December, what your fraction is gonna be, submitting the budget.
Yeah,
fine.
it's just,
If then all of a sudden, like, there's, I don't know, one year, there's a surge in usage from one town or another for some reason.
right,
And it's gonna be kind of volatile, and I don't think that's good for budgets and planning, something that
Right.
is a number that you can.
stability, yeah,
Yeah, and because the population data is not fluctuating a lot,
right,
and decade by decade.
right, and we have 5 years to go before we hit the next number anyway, so that's stability for 5
For
years.
5 years, and then when it changes, it's gonna change by 1%
Right,
or
Yeah.
something like that.
right,
And
yeah.
so that's what I propose.
I
We
feel
do.
like that makes sense too.
What do you think, Dan?
We'll take it back to the big ones.
So I think just.
I'm okay with population, but yeah. I definitely want,
Okay, so I'm gonna take out this option 2.
Yeah.
All of that can go. All right, so,
That's the only change.
and those are the only 2 places where we could change.
Yeah,
I'll leave the date blank. So
yeah,
the plan from here would be.
oh, and let me, right,
Go ahead.
sorry, just so for right now, we're talking D is 54%, just so when I go back to talk.
Yeah. we
And
got-
Sunderland was roughly 28.
Oh, yeah,
Something
so
like that.
I guess we.
And Whately, I think, was 18
Was
or something.
18, yeah,
Where is
which
the,
makes sense. Okay.
I lost the.
The data,
Senior
that's fine.
population to the next tab over to your left.
Right, but I lost it on my screen.
Oh.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. And,
Yeah, so it's the
So do
roughly
we want
28.
to keep
54.
3 significant figures? Or do we want, if we round them, it would.
Yeah,
round
I just did like 54, 28,
28,
18.
Okay, and that doesn't mean in the future, we like, if they're like 0.5 or
Right,
0.6
please, that.
people, yeah,
Yeah,
but here, why
yeah,
don't we?
it's close enough just for discussion.
And,
for
and,
sure.
and obviously this won't take effect until the fiscal year 27.
Right,
Correct,
Because we
It'll
would have
start-
voted with our
Yeah,
calculator
yeah, yeah.
26.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just wanna be clear.
yeah, future.
so, and get this in, all right,
What's the total number of seniors for all 3 towns?
It's 3,027 for the 60 and over.
Yeah.
For this, for 2020's data. And that's 1639 for Deerfield, 544 for Wheatley, and 844 for Sunderland. I get asked that all the time, so it's just
Yeah.
there.
All right.
and I'm happy to. Share this with you if you're really interested in it. It's all
Yeah.
publicly available data.
Right.
Yeah.
But you've already compiled it.
Yeah, I've already got it.
She downloaded the Excel from UMass Donahue, I think is where I got it
Yes,
from.
yeah,
So that went really well.
okay. Okay, well, then I guess I just want to also then be.
Do we have to, you have to vote on
clear.
that?
Oh, yeah, we'll vote on it. I guess we should vote first and then decide the plan.
Yeah.
For taking it to the town, so, let's, have a motion.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the revised agreement between the towns of Deerfield, Sunderland and Whately with respect to the South County Senior Center as presented tonight.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
No, I think it's a great way to move forward.
Okay, Well, then, let's go to a vote, and since we're hybrid, we have to do that by roll call. Start with Trevor,
I, Trevor McDaniel.
Dan,
Uh, yes,
oh,
Can you say that again, Dan?
One more time, Dan.
it says Dan is muted
Yeah,
on mine,
no.
somehow.
Can you try one more time, Dan?
Dan Murphy, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got you that time.
Joyce Palmer Fortune, yes.
And that means it goes to the
Yeah.
select boards for you. all.
Yes.
Yeah, so I need some plans, so I think a good first step would be if I as chair, so JPF. Will draft cover letter.
Yeah.
And copy. To the town administrators.
Yeah.
And then do you do like yeah, we have a space on our agenda for liaison reports, and I'm the liaison to the South County Senior Center. So I would have a natural time at my select board meetings
Yep,
to say, hey, we've got this thing.
we do.
Coming up.
Yeah, we have.
So,
that one.
Copy to the TAs,
Yeah.
maybe to the board chairs to ask them to take it up.
Yep.
Um. And in the cover letter, I'll do a quick summary of the changes. And
That's great.
and then when they come to the point of asking about, well, how did you figure out such and such? You all have access to that
Correct.
spreadsheet,
Yeah,
and I
Do you-
can,
And I can always email it over to the TAs,
Do we-
your letter, if you want me to email it
do you want to
over.
copy the finance committees at all? Do we need to? I mean, I don't think, not that we
I-
need to, but
well,
it'd be nice to
the-
have.
for the-
share everything.
we could certainly, if the board, say if the selectmen approve it.
Yeah,
And it merely becomes our new agreement, then we should absolutely let our finance committee
Yeah.
know.
yeah, and let
I,
that,
I think,
yeah, because it'll come up as budgets come up.
but
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
most of the finance committees are on summer vacation though.
yeah.
They're not. gonna
Except for
pay-
Julie.
They're
Julie's the chair of
not gonna
ours.
pay any attention to
Yeah,
anything we send them.
right,
Right.
sounds good.
Okay,
Great.
okay, and then so I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I would coordinate with Jen. Jen to send. Okay,
Tomorrow, Wednesday, I won't be available. We have food truck in the morning, and then we have our
Okay.
final age and dementia friendly meeting with UMass Boston.
Oh.
And our community stakeholders who've been participating. It's our last one, so you'll,
Okay.
if you send tomorrow, Thursday.
Thursday should be,
good. If that's okay.
right, yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right,
What are you looking for?
Well, did we have a discussion item for the build?
Number two,
and so,
items unanticipated, 48 hours prior to the meeting, because I didn't, I'm the back.
yeah,
Oh, there it is.
I didn't, I wasn't
good.
sure
No,
where
that's
we'd
fine.
be and all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
other
that's
things,
okay.
so.
so the consortium's district discussion.
Yeah,
I guess that's the next, thing, and I don't have a consortium, we have a consortium agreement we're working on,
right.
but, that's sort of. To me, in my mind, that's. The next step we would need to take if we plan to purchase a building. And since our last meeting, there's now a building that may be available to purchase on a time scale that we could live with. But, so I sort of feel like that discussion is kind of mixed in with the 112 Amherst Road
Yeah,
discussion, so we can sort of pull that together. I think tonight, for example, we won't decide on whether we should go to a consortium or a district.
Yeah.
so we'll just table that till the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so
Yeah.
too.
because to me, it's not obvious in the short term that that's the place to push.
Right.
If the building is available to rent, with a lease that's flexible enough that at any point we can turn it into a purchase,
Correct.
then I think that helps us
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
So for the,
Yeah.
you want me to take
So,
over for the
yeah,
viewers? if you
Well,
want,
for the
you want
viewers,
to cover that?
why don't you give an overview and then
That'd
at
be
the
solid.
end,
How it came about.
Okay.
yeah, how that came
So-
about, so.
There was a discussion that I had had previously, with TJ Conroy, who's the property manager for this current space. this was last year before we had a final, before we went to the feasibility study as to where
Yeah.
we were going. 'Cause
Right.
Sunderland was out for the 23 plum tree.
Yeah.
And I had inquired, hey, what's up with 112 Amherst Road? Because someone else in the community had asked me about the space. Or mentioned it as, you know, like,
Yeah.
hey, have you ever asked about that? There hasn't been anyone actually in there in a while, or at least cars.
Yeah, I think they moved south.
It's currently being leased, you know, by a different tenant, but you know, that is also flexible,
But the
because they're
tenant
basically,
is not in there anymore?
no, they're not, their stuff is there, but you know, as to what they're
Okay.
doing, I think legally their lease is good through 27.
Mhm.
But there's room for to
Oh,
end
okay.
early, etc.
I see.
So with that being said, I believe, you
Right.
had a conversation with Craig Warner
I
and.
did, I talked to him, well, before we had settled on those
Anywhere,
other two,
yeah.
yeah, he had called me and said, hey, you know, I'm thinking of developing back here. But it's gonna be some years before that's available, any interest, don't lock in anything yet, let's talk. And we said, oh, it's an interesting idea, and then this came up too, he sent an email to me and Dan, I think. And said, you know, 112 is gonna be available if you're
I'm feeling
interested.
so left out.
I don't know how.
I-
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
Good.
when that chain came about, I guess that conversation, originally mentioned was October of last year.
Yeah,
So I got on that email chain and forwarded it to you,
Yeah.
because I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, here's the
Yeah.
discussion.
I just
So,
heard about.
when I sent that over to Joyce, you know, we made arrangements to go on a tour of
Yeah.
112 Amherst Road. For those who are unaware, if you go down 116 here, it's the triple decker or triple story brick building on the left
Right.
that has all states logo on it, and it's
Yeah.
beautifully maintained.
Yeah, it only looks like it's 2 floors.
Yeah.
Cause
that's
one of them
great.
is like a half,
Pumpkin in the
like
back,
a
yeah.
half basement where it's actually level.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we went in there, we took a tour
Yeah.
and, you know, the space is totally conducive. It's a little interesting how we could make it work, but we could because the basement slash ground level could be renovated to become our commercial kitchen, along with, you know, putting in a convection oven, a stovetop, an Ansel system, the way the commercial dishwasher space,
Here,
three-way
I'll
sink.
put up some,
Do you wanna put up the bottom level
yeah,
track thing?
right,
So in that, is that the bottom?
this is the basement.
Yep, so this is the ground level that we're talking about, and we're gonna talk about from the top part, if you wanna talk about. Can you expand
Where
that
do
so
you,
it takes up the whole
where do you
screen?
pull in? Oh, in the back where it says
So,
exit? It's
so
down
where
below.
you exit there are multiple spaces.
Mhm.
Outside that area, there's like 3 or 4 parking spaces immediately out there, it's a large space,
Yeah,
but then there's other parking spaces along the back. And there was dumpsters there,
Yeah.
but you know,
Somehow.
and then there's kind of hills on the side where the landscaping goes
Yeah.
up to cover that other part of the building.
right,
So this is the right floor.
yeah,
It's right floor, but it was,
Oh.
it had gone too. I zoomed in
Yeah.
too
So
far.
coming in, on that top section where the exit is, straight in. On the screen, the left
Let me
the
see if I
left
can
3
get the
rooms,
face.
yeah,
would be. So go to,
Yeah.
do the left 3 rooms there. We would take out all the walls in there except for that first initial wall.
yeah,
And we would make that one big room,
for the kitchen.
for the kitchen.
Okay,
And so I'm just gonna demonstrate here for you. So this would be a commercial kitchen. This is that other room I wasn't sure what we could do with, but this is the area here where we'd have to put the kitchen area. And these 3 rooms were blocked off to us at the time because they have their computer
yeah,
system stuff in
Right.
there. So we would be able to expand all of this here, except for obviously
pantry,
supporting
you mean?
beams.
Yeah.
No, for
Right.
the kitchen, for the dishwasher area.
Oh, got
So 3-bay sink, there's a drainage system here.
one up above that.
This would be your convection oven, your stove. So this would be your cooking area.
Got
This would be your cleaning
Your washing
area,
area.
your washing,
Okay.
etc.
Yeah,
This could be, depending on the size and how this is set up, could be used for a multitude of things. This is where we figured we would put our food pantry, because this is where there is a sump pump and other things here, and then this is the bathroom over here.
Okay,
So this room here, we weren't sure what to do with.
yeah,
And this we could probably expand into,
Yeah.
more of the cleaning, depending. But in the other term, you could make this maybe a communal area for when we do our food truck distribution, so
Right.
people don't have to go up
Pack stuff.
downstairs. We could
Yeah.
pack stuff, we could make it for, kind of socialization. Also make it maybe another seating area for smaller meals, etc. But I think we would have to look at it, talk to an architect
right.
as to how to best use that.
Mhm.
Cause there are some unique styled spaces there.
Yeah,
It's an odd shaped building,
Yeah.
so it's not your square box, for
Yeah,
sure.
so,
yeah,
so that bottom level would be dedicated to the kitchen
And food
altogether,
truck, yeah.
food pantry, and then maybe, some social area.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did make it social area, we would have to add an ADA compliant bathroom on this level, because on this, or have them go up the elevator to go to the next level to use the
Right.
bathroom.
Okay,
So there, because the particular bathroom on that far end there
It's
by
not
the sump
ADA.
pump is not ADA.
okay,
yeah.
It's just a stall and a urinal and a
Okay.
sink.
all right,
But given whatever we could use over here, maybe that's where we could add our ADA compliant bathroom. Because the plumbing is in through here.
okay,
And then the bathrooms on the upstairs floors are above here in this area.
gotcha,
And then over here
above
in
that,
that area.
Yeah. okay,
So, those were really, cost analysis points for me, because I don't wanna add a huge amount.
yeah,
The elevator is accessible to all three of the floors, which is
oh, it's right
great.
there, yeah, at
Yeah, on the far end.
Yep, okay.
So we're,
I know it's. you
on
said
the
it wasn't
next-
huge,
on
but
the next level up,
Yeah.
well, you can fit 4 people standing,
Yeah,
but if you're going to have a wheelchair in here, you
One
can fit an
person.
aide or, a
Yeah.
person with them and the wheelchair.
okay,
But it might be hard for an individual to get in and out by themselves using the wheels.
Depending on how skilled they are and how
Right.
wide they're.
because if you said it's only
It's
like
31 and a half versus
Yeah.
36.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
that would be something to consider.
Yep.
But the infrastructure is already there and it's workable.
okay,
And the other option that we can have for the center is to have transfer chairs. So if someone does come in a larger wheelchair,
Mhm.
we can use smaller width ones and transfer
Right.
them in.
Yeah. okay,
I'm skilled to do that. I've had training in the past.
yeah,
And we can also make sure we have staff and volunteers who are also,
yeah,
if that becomes a major issue.
right,
I don't believe it will. We do have one member who comes in on a scooter, however, they do have the ability to walk. So,
Right.
if it became an
Once
issue,
again.
I think they could get in the elevator to go up the different flights
Yeah,
and
and then
walk to where we're
transfer.
sitting, yeah.
okay,
And as new members come in, that could be a potential discussion, I think, but to get us where we need to be. This is a good use of space,
And what
because.
about in the second floor.
Yep, so the
Yeah.
first floor, so this is the
Oh, right,
ground
this is the
floor,
ground
the
floor.
next floor is the
Okay.
first floor,
Okay.
you got the
Alright,
photo?
now I'm gonna work, yeah, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that, let's see, whoop. That, now it left all my annotations.
First floor, you see that, third one down,
How do I get, no, I left all the annotations in,
Yeah,
so I'd like to erase. The annotations real
Mhm.
quickly,
oh, I didn't understand what you're talking about,
Yeah.
sorry.
sorry.
The
I can-
commentary.
that's fine.
I've not been teaching with Zoom, so I'm out of practice, alright, then we go first floor. Oop.
Yeah,
Gonna go to your mouse though, right, will it work?
First floor,
Yeah.
there we go.
Okay, so this is the entryway over
Yep.
here.
okay,
So this is where the majority of the parking is over
Yeah.
here and in the back.
and
There
that's,
is parking over here, but we would prefer people to park over
and that's
here.
towards Frosty's.
Yes, this
Yeah,
is towards the
that
creamy
side.
side and the other side is towards five
Yeah.
or Route
Yeah.
5 and
Yeah.
116, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm used to saying 5 and 10 all the
5
time.
and
over
116,
So,
yes.
So out here, there's parking. It would
Yeah.
have to be restriped to make it more, but no
Yeah.
problem, doable.
Right.
Come in through here. This door is not ADA compliant right yet,
Yeah.
but,
we talked about making it.
we could make that
Yeah.
ADA compliant. So
Yeah.
you'd come in here and we could have the kiosk like that,
Mhm.
set up here, nice and welcoming.
Second.
People have the option for several ways of travel. They could go straight in
Yeah.
into the reception area. This door would be open at all times to
Yeah.
make sure that people are welcomed. Around this corner could be our coat rack, stuff like that, if they're just staying on this bottom level.
Yep,
Especially winter time, people take boats off, whatever. So coming through here, we'll just do this part first. This is the reception area. It could be configured just about any way. There is a space in here that's right now used for like printing, copying,
yeah,
like your office
right,
machinery, etc., to do stuff. So we could keep that as is. It'd be
Right.
nice to have a space to utilize. In through here is like fire doors, so that's
Yeah.
like just a hallway there. Come here would be a programming space.
Mhm.
So we could have speakers regularly in this room. Joyce, how many people do you think that would fit? 30 people comfortably?
I'm trying to think, compared to this room, it's at least half the size of this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a
So-
little bit more.
There's closet over here, but this programming space could be, made into just about anything
Yeah,
that we could
It
use.
could be a small yoga class.
I would like to do that on the top
Yeah.
floor,
Yeah,
because,
Yeah.
but we could make that just about any usable
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Over here, if you come back through, this is an existing kitchen. It's
Okay.
really nicely done. It's like a nice wooden inlay. It's in the
Yeah.
video
I
section,
can see
I
it,
think.
yeah,
So it has a
Yeah.
dishwasher, full-size fridge, a microwave, cabinetry,
good.
and that could stay because we could make it a break room, but I think it
Yeah.
would be good to prep if we wanted to serve any refreshments for any programs
Right.
here. Going back to the hallway, this is the office that I would like to use for myself mainly. There are upstairs offices on the top, but, this would be a great
Good
space
function
because
reaction.
I can monitor, see if the reception needs help, but it's also, so I can get work done with the door, like
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Over here is this section. There's like another one of those hallways.
yeah,
It has access from the reception side and from this side, so I could see anybody walking by me here.
yeah,
This here would be game room, movie room, cards, etc., puzzle
Yeah.
space, because there are a lot of windows, which are nice.
yeah,
And people could access this regardless, so they could
Yeah.
come through reception, go right through, or they could come by my office and see there, which is great. Case of any negativity happening, you could lock these doors or make them so they don't open
Yeah.
and keep people safe, just
Yeah.
thinking outside the box. Over here is another, this is a closet. This is a closet here. There's a closet, I believe, around here. I could be wrong.
no,
I thought there was a closet, or is that the top floor that has the closet
there,
there?
top floor, every closet there.
Okay, so then this, weren't sure what we would do, probably make it another multiple space office.
Yeah.
Room, or we could have it where the staff, if they need to get work done and not be bothered,
yeah,
they could be down here.
mhm,
Just could be anything.
right,
This is where I would put the nurses station and the foot clinic,
yeah,
because it's diagonal to the two ADA
Right.
accessible bathrooms. And it's kind of private,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
quiet.
yeah,
You don't have to worry about someone seeing you get your
Good private.
file if you're doing your foot clinic, like they do it in the middle of here.
Yeah.
Um,
sure,
but it's great. And then there's a janitor's closet here,
okay,
which is helpful because it's got the sink, what do they call it, a sock sink? I don't know,
Yeah, yeah,
laundry sink
yeah,
type situation.
you think what we need,
And I'm wondering if we could add a stackable washer and dryer in there,
mhm,
or one of the levels, just because we do need that,
Yeah.
and Joyce had shared. It would be great to be able to put a shower is something we've been wanting to do, because if someone has an accident or needs to use shower services,
yeah,
we could try to do that. I don't know, we'd have to talk to an
Right.
architect about that.
Yep.
Um,
all right,
so coming over here, this goes down to the basement level, and this is going upstairs to the top.
Okay.
And this is that other exit we talked about.
Yeah.
There is additional parking,
Mhm.
but as I shared before, it would be conducive to have people park over here more than over there.
Yeah.
Because we'd like this to be the main point of entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So-
could imagine a time in the future if there's like lots and lots of people that you
Yeah.
just buy another kiosk
Yeah,
Right.
and put it
Stick
in the
on
second
Yes.
entrance.
but you know, you
And
also,
but that, there's no place there.
and there's no one to
for people
greet
in.
them.
Right.
Right,
There's no one to
so,
greet them if something happens accident wise, safety wise, you know, those are all thoughts that I had.
Yeah.
Because if someone were to fall, you wanna be able to have someone see
Right
them
there.
fall,
Yeah.
et cetera. So having, you know, one point of entry there
Mhm.
or the basement level, depending on what our events for the day, you would have people monitoring.
Yeah.
You wanna go to the next level, or do
Yeah.
you have any questions about the
No.
thoughts on this?
No. Good on that.
Okay, it's gonna take you a second to
Yeah.
figure this out, so.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so happy that you did the, cause she's gonna take photos, I'm like,
Let's
okay.
see,
I didn't realize I had to divvy up
How
everything.
do I get, okay. How do I get back to, here,
You can exit.
There we
yeah.
go. and then second.
Second floor,
Okay. And now all my annotation marks are there.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
like, can I just like
you
select
clean them all out.
Oh, there's the eraser, but I don't see
Those
like,
are large rooms up there then.
Yes, so
I didn't
this
realize.
is gonna be really great, the different thoughts on that.
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to get them one at a
That's okay.
time,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
It's okay, we have
Uh,
some time, we're not,
we're not too far behind
No.
here. Okay,
Okay.
alright, and then let me make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, somehow when I'm not in the,
do you go down the bottom and do the arrow key?
oh,
Alright.
Yeah,
there we go.
all right.
Whoop, whoop. That's a little bit too much. we
There you go,
Alright,
perfect.
Right.
Okay, so this is the elevator, it hits all of the floors. This is
Okay.
that other stairwell, this is that one from the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah.
So you wanna take off the janitor closet
Oh.
from there, if you don't?
Oh, yeah,
That's
I'm
the
gonna
only
have to
one.
move that, it's behind the little,
Here you go.
Oh,
Then don't worry about it,
yeah,
I'm not gonna.
I'll
So,
do it while you're talking.
so people can come up here, or they can come here. If they come here, they just do a little quick around into this way. Stairs lead you to the same spot, so they're basically
Yeah.
converging here. So this is a closet space, or, yeah. Is that a
This
closet?
was struck, I think.
No, that's the bathroom. That's the bathroom upstairs, top floor.
Oh.
Remember, top floor was right there.
Oh,
So the only bathroom on the top floor is right here. It's a
Okay.
one big unit
Yeah,
ADA compliant bathroom. So large events, could be a little tight, but
Yeah.
people can walk down to the next level or take the elevator.
yeah.
Adding a bathroom would
Right.
be great. So here is where you come in to this space, programming space, just like above the same programming
Yep.
space downstairs. I think it might be a little smaller.
Yeah,
Is it a little
that's that
smaller?
arm, yeah, that's.
Slightly smaller.
One of those two rooms was a
Yeah.
little bigger than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little smaller, however, I believe this is a
Yeah,
closet and through here.
yeah,
Or I thought it was a closet, I could be wrong. But it's great because you can still make that like a small yoga class or a meditation room.
yeah,
When we have people come in to do sound bath, Reiki type situation, put them in there. We could also start to offer chair massages, which is something other senior centers offer. We don't have that space, so that could happen there. Over here, this is a closet. This is the area with the kitchen. So there's a refrigerator, you know, there's no dishwasher here, but we could add one. But this area would be, right now it has like tables and stuff. This would be great for prepping.
yeah,
So you get all the volunteers in here to prep, bring up the food from the basement, wheel it over here to prep. So that way you're not serving everybody at once.
is that one whole thing a large open space?
So this is all large and open.
Wow,
The cool thing is you could have the tables and chairs on this side and keep this open for exercise.
right,
And if you have a large enough class, you could roll these tables and chairs up and put it in the closet that's over here.
yeah,
Was there a closet here or over here?
There was a closet there, I'm not really.
Yeah, so we
I
had a
feel like
closet somewhere.
These
Yeah.
drawings were not necessarily
Yeah.
100% accurate
What's
with
there.
every
Yeah.
single
yeah,
Not
Yeah,
every
these
single
are
wall
old.
is correct.
Correct.
So
The one thing
This-
that it doesn't show there though,
Mhm.
is that there are holes.
yes,
Yeah.
And
they're pillars,
there's
one,
no-
2,
the
3, 4,
there are
like
two
right in the
rows,
center.
there's-
So this
yeah.
kind of looks like an aisle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are some pillars that are not movable, but there's no other walls right now.
Let's do like a temporary partition walls too,
Yes.
if you ever wanted.
Well, remember how when EDM Studio was talking about pulling the
Yes,
soundproof
Exactly.
divider?
Yeah,
So we could have that installed, to go up and down, however
Yeah.
we make it work.
right.
So we could have
Well,
one area that's always exercise, and then, so you could maybe block that off. And
Yeah,
then leave this open for dining and stuff, so that way if the music's going for classes, it's
yeah,
not interfering, vice versa.
right.
The cool thing up here is there's 3 offices upstairs. This is just the overhaul to
Yeah.
that, to the
Love it.
hallway
Sure.
downstairs. But this is another office, so
Yeah.
that could be storage or it could be an office space.
Right,
And these were where I was
For
thinking
staff.
Chris and Tom or whoever's in that position
yeah,
could be, so that way they're always there
Up
seeing
above.
somebody, et cetera.
yeah,
And then, or if I'm going upstairs and I'm covering, we
Yeah.
could balance that out.
very interesting building.
So, and right now it's all carpeting, there's individual carpeting squares.
Yeah,
We talked about, is it fire resistant or fire
Right.
retardant? We're waiting for a response
Yeah.
on that. But the cool thing is that there's a lot of great lighting from outside,
is.
so we would
It's
have,
very bright.
some of that.
Shades. and
We,
stuff,
there are shades that are already in existence, the blinds that kind of roll.
Yeah,
I don't know if those have to be fire retardant as well, with like schools don't
Yeah.
have them, so
right.
we'd have to
Check.
research that more with
Yeah,
the codes. The basement for the Ansel system on the bottom level, we would have to break open one wall just to have the
Well,
vent,
penetration.
yeah,
Yeah, and probably some fire retardant
around,
sheetrock
yeah,
in there as well.
yes.
That encapsulate the room.
But, this here, while it's on the 3rd floor, or 2nd floor, however you
Yeah.
wanna word it,
Yeah.
it's
So
accessible
one-
by the elevator. Most of the people who attend the upstairs classes are able-bodied.
Right,
We could have the seated dance in
Yeah.
that other floor, but where the main
Right.
level entry is, so people don't have to worry about going up and down the stairs.
right,
Because they're using chairs anyways.
yeah,
We would, if we had tables in there, we just move them to the side,
Yep.
but, for yoga,
just-
we could have it up here.
One of the things that I kept noticing was like, you couldn't swing a dead cat without finding another closet.
yeah,
That you could like store chairs in,
Right.
like big, nice
Nice.
closets.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I don't know if those 2 little rooms on the sort of the southeast corner
Yeah.
there,
yeah.
were those closets or were those?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Oh, one of them might be stair.
It's the, yeah, it's the stairway.
No, this here was a closet, I think, and this is a closet.
How that other
That-
room,
This is an office.
the next one up,
This is the
And-
stairwell.
that
But
whole
this
thing
is
is
an
a stairwell? They don't.
See, I
It's
think,
not.
yeah, I think there might.
Oh, no, that's a door, sorry.
Yeah, I think
That's
there's
the door.
another little office there.
Yeah,
Yeah, what,
underneath
anyway,
is.
Yeah.
we'd have to go back and really.
Yeah, and have
We would-
somebody
we
kind
could
of lay out,
Table and chairs here,
yeah,
but I think this might be the only space with the window.
Yeah.
No, but we'd have to look again.
We have to look again, cause I think these drawings, I mean, they're good enough for your emergency exit
Yes.
evacuation route,
but
but
not really the layout.
it's not necessarily, these are
Yeah.
not architectural
Right,
drawings,
right,
right?
that's fine.
So,
So, yeah,
but
so,
it was useful enough, I
Yeah.
thought, for this purpose.
For sure.
so after the meeting, Joyce and I came back and, had a really good discussion about questions to ask Craig
Yeah.
regarding, the different changes we want to make, et cetera. So that email's in here.
I see that. Yeah, I get that.
Medium to long term, if we rent it, install a commercial kitchen, Ansel system, et cetera. And all of those things that we talked about here. We talked about what is rent for the 5-year commitment, a 10-year commitment, what other bills would we expect to have to pay, water, electric,
Yeah.
LP gas for generator, anything else. Plowing, lawn maintenance, et cetera. Could we use, because on the outside that this is not showing, there is a nice long lawn in front of the building. It is noisy, but you could,
Because it's right on 160.
Yeah,
yeah, but you could offer, what's that thing where you throw the beanbag at?
Or-
Yeah.
or-
Cornhole,
yeah,
horseshoes, just sitting areas, you know, cause if it's nice out, you put a pop-up tent and put some picnic tables, seasonal stuff like that.
Right.
You know.
They own the property right next door too, right?
I
That,
don't
when I
know.
looked at, yeah, when I looked at the, not the zoning map,
Okay.
the assessors maps. It looked like there's that big open field.
Yeah,
Kind of towards the creamy
Yes.
side
yeah,
that seemed to be a part of that
yeah.
property, but it was all like grass.
It is, yeah, I remember for the 300 in town, we parked all the wagons there before
Yeah.
we started the parade and. And then when Kaylee was little, we used to slide down the hill in the back.
Yeah, cause everybody goes sledding. We talked about the
Fun.
seniors going down on that. I was like, no, that's the next property owner. or owner.
Limbs on that.
Yeah,
Broke my hip sledding today at the senior center.
hey, we have the toboggan and pull them.
That's right.
So
But it
the,
would be, you know, it might be a space that you could have, you know, use if you needed to for like you know, if it was mowed decently, you could do your events, you know, the car
Yeah,
events and that
the
stuff.
info fair car
Yeah.
cruise night, the
It's a good
picnic.
possibilities. I don't know. I
So-
think it's kind of an interesting.
In the response to the questions that we asked,
Yeah,
Craig came back with a really great email back that,
Yeah.
you know, the following day.
yep,
And had basically shared, you know, any interior renovations and exterior wall penetrations, you know, that do not impact anything structural. We should be able to make those changes with approval, you know, ahead of time. We would submit them to TJ, who we already work with.
yeah,
The caveat is that things would have to be put back to the original condition upon lease termination.
yeah,
But you know, he shared that they might request the kitchen be removed and exterior wall repaired,
right.
but would not have to worry about reverting any of the walls or
Okay.
flooring that we took
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Outside space, that wouldn't be an issue, and TJ is looking into the fire retardant accessories question. They
Nice.
would cover the cost of converting the front door to an ADA power door.
Yeah,
The idea for a lease slash sale was that for the senior center would be looking for a long-term home as an alternative to building or renovating current properties we've looked at.
yeah,
They're looking for a long-term tenant slash
10
commitment
year.
or sale.
yeah,
Due to the amount of customization required for tenants, they typically can't justify short-term leases on a
Right.
property such as this. They would be looking for a minimum of a 10-year lease term.
yeah,
That could have renewal options or perhaps an option to purchase if we were interested in owning the purchase. An outright purchase could also be discussed now instead of a lease if that's desired.
I wonder if they would.
He said
to own.
it's very difficult to give a firm figure since there's so many variabilities about the structure of the lease.
Sure,
Ballpark figure, if it's a triple net lease, $7,000 a month. Where the senior center would be taking care of everything else such as taxes, elevator maintenance, landscape, plowing, repairs, etc.
And that's what triple net
Yeah.
means, right?
In an triple net, a delta would typically only be responsible for the building structure.
that's like.
Yeah, like the walls, roof, etc., exterior stuff.
It's been out.
If
Yeah.
senior center is looking for Delta to take care of taxes, water maintenance, other improvements, it would be closer to 10,000 a month. They're very willing to be flexible on how the lease is structured. You know, his thought was the best approach is to determine what works best for us and municipal finances. Then we could structure it accordingly and provide more accurate number of scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, he shared about the legalities, but if real estate tax would be exempt, leasing to a municipality, that would also reduce the rent.
Yeah,
Another thing to consider is if we have any interest in any of the furniture, cubicles, etc., he could determine whether or not that would be left at no cost or for sale by
Yeah.
the artist. So, you know, I thought it was a really great response. And the
Yeah, I
fact
think
that
that's very
they're
good.
interested in working with us, you know, they've been great landlords to us.
yeah, they're
For
good
this
people.
space,
Great family.
They volunteer every year, or Craig actually came to our holiday meal delivery
Yeah.
last year
Yeah.
and stuff, so
He did, yeah,
I just,
they're good people, for sure.
and it's a lot less than our 15 to 16 million dollar price tag that we've discussed for
Yes,
a
it
brand
is.
new space.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to ask Julie on the telephone, you know, like, do you think this is more palatable for the community? I mean, I know it's still a big ask, but.
My gut reaction is yes, that feels much more palatable than $15-20 million, but, I haven't thought about it at all.
Oh, no, I totally get it. I just,
Well, for example, if it were $10,000 a month for 10 years, that's $1.2 million for having a senior center for 10 years.
Right.
That you didn't have to, that you,
20 years, we'd have to be refurbishing it anyway. so.
Yeah.
right, and that, so, I mean, there's that. That's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
If you look on the assessor's card there, it says the building is worth about 1.2 million for assessing value, and if a municipality were to buy that, or a district or a consortium were to buy that, I think by Massachusetts law, we're not allowed to pay more than the assessed value.
it's appraised value, it's appraised,
Yeah.
because that's what
No,
happened when
that's-
23 Plunger came up. Jeff Kravitz had them, had it appraised, and it was the appraisal value, not the
Because-
assessed value.
That's how we got Wormels
Oh,
for
yeah.
800,000.
If we could negotiate a lease to own so that we were buying,
Yeah.
our payments for the next
Yeah.
10 years or 15 years, we're towards paying off the building plus rent, obviously. It wouldn't be apples to apples, but if it was like, whatever,
Yeah, and-
$8,000 a month
yeah.
for
And I
20
don't know
years
how to
and we own
structure.
it. Yeah, I don't
because we
either.
clearly
We would need
We
advice
need help on
and
that.
help to do that, but if we were paying rent towards the purchase of it, that would be great,
Yeah,
Cause we could plan that as towns for 20 years and have the building at the end of it, and then we could do the changes we want, not have to worry about flipping it back over or whatever.
Yeah,
But,
but then when you own the building, you own it.
yes,
And who owns it has to be who repairs it, and one of the,
correct,
to me, one of the great things about this building is they have kept it.
they have,
There is like no sign that there's ever been flooding in that basement.
right,
There's
right.
no moldy
no,
smell,
they
there's
do take
no,
care of their stuff.
They do.
they have really done a good.
Yes, exactly,
Well,
exactly. They
I
have
will
some-
tell you though, when we went into toward the bottom part, I started to have flashbacks to the other space of like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I don't want it to look like the old senior center, like in the basement level, but I was like, there's absolutely no musty smell.
Yeah,
Nothing, I would wanna take up the Berber carpeting that's down there to make it flat concrete or whatever
yeah.
with those work mats and such.
Yeah,
To make it better, but I mean, it looks great, other than looking like a building from the 1970s.
yeah, it's definitely.
When those blocks were used.
72.
72.
72 is what
72 is when it
TJ
was
said,
built.
73 is what the assessor's card says.
Yeah, I think they were 70, because I remember looking at the windows and their pallet windows in there, they're anodized cladding, which is really rare, like we never see that, so the windows hold up very well. I mean, they're not super energy performance at this stage of the game, but
Yeah.
they're in good shape. When I saw them, I didn't really see much.
Let's
wrong.
pause for a second. Hey, Dan, do you wanna you wanna chime in here?
I'm just wonderful that we have another option, and I think Jennifer has become an expert building senior center designer.
It's been really interesting to see, and when we first went in, it was like, okay, how would we make this work? Because that bottom level is so piecemealed right now with
Yeah, it's-
broken
It's
spaces.
broken up spaces,
And-
yeah.
And Joyce had a comment and I was so bad, I was so excited, I'm like, I interrupted her, she's like, let me finish, I'm like, I'm sorry. But it was just make it a commercial kitchen because it would just be perfect for that. And yes, you would have to transport things up in the elevator, but it would eliminate having to have everything rebuilt and repurposed up on different levels, where that big open space here could be, kept the way it is. It would
Right.
be really great because you have all that natural lighting.
And it's nice.
You have those
Yeah.
offices where staff could be accessible, or, staff could be out and about socializing because people are sitting in tables and chairs, kind of like, like this
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But you can close the door if you need to talk to somebody,
Right.
in private or something.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, they're glass doors, but people aren't hearing your conversations,
Yeah.
and that's like a thing we have
Oh,
now.
for sure, yeah, no problem.
We go to I had a meeting in the basement this morning with one
Yeah.
of our community partners from Life Path. But, I think for everything that we've been looking at and where we are, the seniors are really afraid of losing the momentum for
Mhm.
having a good space.
Yeah.
And, I think we've been really able to show the increase in activity, the increase in, like the usage, the new members. And just even being here in Sunderland, we saw so much of an increase.
Right.
And granted, I know some people are coming to Whately for the class that's there for the
Yeah.
enhanced fitness. But that space is, the spaces within the community are always something we can utilize,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point if we wanted to
Yeah.
host things
Yeah.
there. And I
Yeah.
think, for things that maybe, while that's great for one purpose, I think the fact of, hey, let's make this work for this and work for that, where we could still go within the communities for
We
certain
always have a community
activities.
event at the 1821 church,
Yep.
there'll be space there to do events and,
Because that big hall and that kitchen is great for meals.
right,
My concern was, depending on how the acoustics of the ceiling are, even if you pull a door
yeah,
closed, it echoes. And like in here, when we
Yeah.
have bingo or some other activity that people are really excited,
get older too.
Yeah.
There, the
and
sound
some people
acoustics.
can't, with their hearing aids, they can't adjust for some
Right.
of that, or they don't want to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah.
So with this, you'd be able to worry, you could implement some soundproofing, but it almost seemed like there was acoustic tiles. Correct me if I'm wrong with that.
Yeah, it was
That
an
was
office
like
space,
my.
so they were always,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
all had ceilings that were dropped down and
Yeah.
I'd say relatively
Yeah,
acoustic.
acoustic friendly.
Yeah.
And I think, the way that it's set up, it would really work well for what we need.
So we should really talk about how we could structure a lease to own. What that would entail, is that, and then maybe have a interior designer or architect come in and just kind of evaluate like roughly. Here are our needs, here are our studies, what could we fit in of what we had for layouts in these other buildings and. Our ideas that you laid out, what we would like to see and, how much renovation would that cost, and then we'd have to figure out, well, who. How do we fund this as far as entities, Whately and Deerfield funding a building in Sunderland, or does Sunderland take it on and we pay, or like or do we do a consortium where we're all kind of partners? So there's some things to kind of flush out, but I think they're overcomable, just to kind of
Well-
study it in our head for a little bit.
So the biggest thing that I wanna say is, and I shared in our last meeting, is that, there was a lot of negativity that came out of that Deerfield election that the seniors took, like, we're definitely going to that
Yes,
18 and
exactly.
21 space, and there's no question about
Yeah.
it. So
Like this-
I made a lot of headway in trying to be like, we're 3 town
Yeah.
center, we're not just one town. I mean,
Correct.
I know Deerfield has been wonderful at being the fiduciary,
Yeah.
for as long as they have been. But it's input from everyone, and that's really important.
It is,
But I think, like we did with the 23 Plum Tree Road building, we did tour.
Yep.
We did multiple tours. I
it's
think
important.
doing some tours, doing some open houses like
Yeah.
that to show people what it
What
is.
would be,
And if you structure it where you'd have the discussion with Craig first of
Mhm.
like, are you open to the rent
right,
piece, to rent to own, or
Yeah.
are you open to this, or?
yeah, it seems he's flexible.
Yeah.
Cause it's hard to find, for him too, it's also hard to find an entity that's gonna come in and rent that whole place too.
Probably,
It's.
with the way the
it's just-
economy
yeah,
is now,
yeah.
people aren't doing brick and
Working from
mortar
home,
anymore.
they're- Yeah, they aren't that
Um,
much, so
And the,
it'd be a good option for them too.
but I think the biggest thing to overcome is, and I'm just gonna be blunt from hearing all the things I've heard, is, if Deerfield makes an agreement with the other 2 towns to stick to that and to move forward, to sign to sign whatever agreement for the 3 entities and just go forward.
If it makes sense financially, I think the location's good.
Yep, it's not
Well,
too
it's
far,
not too far from anybody really,
it's accessible on public transportation.
yeah, exactly.
There's ample
a lot of
parking.
Good thoughts there,
People can walk,
yeah,
I mean, although it is a little
close
sketchy.
to the Frosty.
Let's
So,
go on an ice cream
right,
field trip.
exactly, no, I think it does have some really good. Good benefits, it's kind of a building we were kind of hoping would show up somewhere and, I love that it has some big open spaces for all the things that we
Yes.
need. It's of course not gonna fit all of our needs. But it would go a long ways to do what we need to do for the short term here and. We just have to find out how to do it financially.
Yep.
Yeah.
who's the entity, how do we structure that, and would he take a rent to own?
Dan's off of
thing?
you.
Go
Yeah,
ahead, Dan.
I just want to say, I'd love to see a path, a nice crossing across the street and a path right to the elementary school.
there you go.
Right, the
A
bridge,
bridge,
you can
yeah.
go right through the solar
Mhm.
panels up to the,
Right. Yes,
How fast are your seniors today? Can you jump 50 yards before the truck comes?
Stones. Well, I did, while you were chatting, a little bit of number crunching,
Okay,
okay? Cause I don't wanna wait till July 1st, 2026
yeah,
to do this.
I don't either.
So part of our, so I want at least some outlines of like, how do we move forward? Clearly, we need some people with more, like somebody who's negotiated a lease before and understands what a rent to own lease might be like. Or if that's even the right thing to do, so.
right.
So we need help.
Do we
On
really wanna own it, or do we just wanna lease? it?
lease versus own, and I think short term, it's hard to buy things if you're a municipal.
It is.
So,
You rent it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like even commit to 10 years.
Yeah.
Rent it and make sure it.
make sure we
Right.
really
You like
like
that?
that.
Building's good, I love that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that makes me
Yeah.
feel good, because to be quite honest, I wasn't sure, how the towns or the finance committees would feel. Because, it's like you're paying for something that you're not owning, but at the same token, you're not having the responsibility if we
Right.
do the triple or non-triple net, triple net, whichever.
Yeah, no.
Where they do the maintenance to the building and all of that, that takes that big part off of the municipalities.
Yeah.
Because I know that was one of
Yeah.
the issues that Deerfield
Yeah.
had. Because you don't
Yeah.
also, like, even if it's 10 years, and 10 years, I'll be, oh my god, I'll be 59, I'll be using the senior center.
Right.
But it's like, by
To be
then,
training your replacement.
I'm gonna work till probably 65,
Oh, okay, then
70,
maybe that's
so
what
maybe
we're
not,
doing.
no.
Okay,
But what I'm thinking is, but by then, I think it would also be there, the federal economy could be different, where there might be more grants accessible.
You'll see the growth because you'll be on the one roof.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to really see what a senior center can
Yeah.
provide this community.
And
with
I,
all of your efforts in
Yeah.
one space.
I am amazed at when I started 3 years ago, we had 242 active members. We're over 700.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I'm just
Nice.
flabbergasted.
and in one space, it's.
Yeah.
Really nice.
and it's a nice space.
And then we'll be using the other parking lot, or we'll be using the other town for shuttles to bring in parking at the town halls. But I will say, one of the things that Joyce and I talked about after was, we would have to hire either on staff with one of the towns or a service, but a janitorial service, because we have someone come in once a week, but this is a small space
Yeah,
and
no,
staff
you need to have it
does the
clean.
rest. We can't keep up with that all the time.
Group in like, okay, what?
We
what
would
rent
probably
be,
need-
What would be the,
Yeah, we would
We
probably
need
need,
service.
we would definitely need that, we would definitely increase our trash and recycling fees, because we'd have a dumpster versus smaller. Containers we have now.
and we need to see what the cost would be and how do we. Install a kitchen and the remodeling stuff, we need a number on all of that. so
Yeah,
We can.
we'd have to
factor,
hire an
okay, our
architect.
Rent is that, or does, Delta take on that cost of putting that in? And we rent, it's his building, say, hey, for us to come in.
We
You
would,
tell me what the lease is for you to put in a commercial kitchen and blah, 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 this is what we need it to look like. We'll commit to 10 years to do that, or.
And that sounds like,
And maybe
that comes under
says
that
no.
category of, we need help on,
Yes,
The
somebody
lease.
who's done that.
Somebody who's-
before, yeah,
and maybe somebody with experience would say, no, you don't want that.
right,
the
you wanna do
lease.
it this way,
Yeah,
yeah.
somebody who knows.
Yeah,
a little bit.
exactly.
And I don't know who that person is, but
Either.
I would talk, I don't know, like talk to,
Yeah.
maybe Dan knows somebody.
Dan,
I would,
Yeah, good.
he took himself off mute.
no, I'm just saying, yeah, we need to find the right person to give us really good advice.
Yeah,
Do you think a realtor would have that, or do you think that would be a lawyer?
We'll go both, yeah.
Yeah, someone,
He's done commercial stuff for a while.
Yeah,
right,
commercial stuff.
maybe,
That's my father. He's leased a lot of buildings.
okay,
Built a lot.
so. So our homework then, at least part of our homework is gonna be, we know we need help on that.
Yes.
Who do we get help from?
Yep.
Who are you gonna call, Trevor?
Well, I will talk, I was thinking even of picking Berkshire Designs brain a little bit.
Oh, the people who did our
No, EDM did ours.
EDM.
EDM did ours, but either EDM or but Berkshire Design does a lot of. Work in the commercial, and so they might know of somebody that would be good in that area. I was also gonna talk to my father-in-law, because he's leased a lot of buildings
okay.
and he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Dan, who do you have that you can call on your
And-
Rolodex?
Town administrator. Well,
Maybe, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so I think all of us need to talk to our
yeah.
town administrators.
Dan, are you gonna talk to Becky?
Or if it might be, I don't know, at some point, we have to give them sort of the heads up at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
And this
Say,
might
hey,
be,
we've made a change.
something has come up.
Yeah.
And we
That'd be
need your
something,
help
yeah.
to work, because we're clearly gonna need our town admins on
People
our
do.
side.
Dan is
Town
on
meeting
mute now.
coming up.
Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
I'm just saying that, yeah, somebody who really understands municipal leases and owns and how to do all that, because I don't, and I'm sure there's somebody out there who does. Because we started thinking about it with 23 Plumtree. But yeah, we should definitely have somebody who's really gone through this before and
Okay,
can
so
help
you
us.
don't have anybody on your Rolodex?
Not on tip of my tongue, no, I don't.
Okay, all right. Are you willing to, like, within the next week, go talk to Becky?
Of course, of course.
Okay,
course.
and I'll talk to Pete, you'll talk to Chris,
Yeah,
and gather some advice from them.
I have a friend who's a realtor. I'm not sure what her experience is with commercial, but I
Yeah.
can just
Yeah.
inquire. as to
So
what
let's do
it's
some
been.
inquiries
Then-
around our Rolodexes, and we should probably,
I've got a
Um,
special town meeting that's not.
We
Yeah,
do?
the 23rd, yeah, it just came up for the 1888 building, the federal, because to get a federal earmark, they need federal interest, they want their hands on the property, make sure we don't flip it and sell it.
Oh, to get the earmark, we already received the $4 million
Yeah.
that was put aside. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't know about that before.
We all were too, we didn't have to do it for the treatment plant, but that, we may have already, because it was that already was done.
So
because
that's
it
the
was-
23rd of
people
June.
don't flip treatment plants.
True.
Don't make it a certain thing.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
So that's the
The
23rd.
23rd at 6 at Town Hall, not at
Okay,
anyone.
well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, we just.
so when I talk to Pete, I'm gonna use the higher number because that's kind of inclusive of the
Yes.
cost. Whether you divide it into rent and bills
Right.
or
right,
rent
right.
and bills.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about going to your towns? In a special town meeting and asking for, let's say, a revised budget. If it were 12 months rent, it'd be, let's use Deerfield numbers, $65,000. Sunderland, $33,500. And Whately, $21,500.
Yeah.
That's for 12 months, but if it takes us a little while to get our poop in a group. So that's my sister-in-law's phrase. 9 months is 49,000 in Deerfield, 25,000, a little more in Sunderland. So 16,000, a little bit more in Whately. How do you think that would go over?
What would you do a fall town meeting?
Yeah,
A fall.
You have to get an appropriation, as it has to be
Yeah,
at a town meeting.
yeah, I think we have 1 or 2 weeks, but we don't have.
You want, yeah,
you
you
don't
have
have
to get
time,
down to
you have to
that.
have an agreement.
And we need to have an
Yeah, there's a
agreement.
lot of things to do before that. Yeah, we could do that. We're gonna have a town meeting anyways.
Right.
October?
But do you think you can
Yeah.
go in there and get, let's call it roughly $50,000?
I mean, if it makes sense and we've done all the homework and we've
Yeah.
shown finance committee and we've shown the residents and we've done tours and we know where our kitchen's gonna go, we know the cost of that. If we know all this stuff, yeah.
So So at this point, when my question would be, we're gonna each go out, we're gonna talk to whomever is good at this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Then come back in like
Yeah.
3
3
weeks.
weeks, yeah.
Well, so
And
Dan,
what
do you have
time
a
is he
meeting,
on that?
you have a meeting on the 30th of June, right, for select board?
I believe that's right.
So, okay, so is anybody going away for 4th of July timeframe? Cause the next opens Monday would be July 7th, and are you?
I'll be back by then.
traveling? Are you
I'll be
working?
back by the summer.
Okay, so could we go with our next meeting for Monday, July 7th,
Yeah.
6 o'clock work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I
Okay,
feel
so
like that's a month away.
it is,
Yeah, we'll need a month.
A short one.
Yeah.
yeah. There's also a holiday in there, 2 holidays in there.
Right, okay,
It's
yeah.
Juneteenth, and then
Yeah.
Juneteenth is next week.
so I wrote down sort of 3 general categories of things that we need to push on. One is help on a lease, and that's really the big
That's a
one.
key.
Going to towns for this year's rent, this fiscal
Yeah.
year's rent.
Yeah.
That would be for fall town.
For
meeting.
fall, for a fall, and but then look, it's September, cause, well, of course, if it gets pushed by a month, the number goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
But,
right.
but it's
Awesome.
roughly, we're talking, 50,000, 25,000, and, no, that would not just went off the screen. And 16,000
Yeah,
in Whately. Um,
Are we using the new numbers or the old existing?
that's an estimate, but the last thing was to come up with the total cost for what's needed, because of course, everyone's gonna wanna
Yep.
know that. You already have some estimates.
I do, well,
what
I have to
equipment is gonna
re-ask,
cost.
well, that was over a year ago, so I'll have to re-ask Gillette, and if we're going to be there, I'd like to buy brand new. Kitchen equipment to last us 10 years,
Yeah.
because the other equipment that we had in the
Yeah.
other space. Was used and had been in there since 2014, so it was already 2013, so it was
Yeah.
already 10 years old. And that smell, the gas smell that was in there all the time had started when it existed. I found old emails and other information, so it was the stove.
oh.
No.
It had been an issue since day
yeah,
one.
Day one.
So
Okay, so
Okay.
we'll get working
Is-
on this stuff.
do you remember if there was gas already, or did
They-
we use electric?
There's, right, there's
we got a
LP gas
convection.
for the backup generator,
But everything was.
everything else was electric.
Now,
But they said if you wanted to put in a propane tank for cooking,
Right.
then.
either is fine for me, I mean, cause at the church, the church stovetop was electric, the. Polish club is gas or propane,
Right,
so I mean, like.
I-
I honestly think electric might be safer for some people, just.
I think it's less complicated because electricity is already there. And the gas tank for cooking is not there.
Yeah.
The gas tank they have, the LP gas tank is for the backup.
So is
generator.
anybody working in there now, like how,
No.
so we could get in and take a look?
Yep.
I'd like to bring in
I could
an architect
text
in and
TJ.
just say.
And set up a meeting anytime,
Right,
he
okay.
shared that, so.
Yeah, you get in there and go, what do you honestly think this would take to put a kitchen down here and, just to get some numbers on that too.
Yeah,
Um,
I think, the biggest cost is gonna be the penetration of the exterior wall for the insole system for the exhaust, but that's it, because. And then those other existing walls are not,
Stick a dynamite, you're good. Yeah, you still ditch witch, still cut through this and that.
I have a brother-in-law who's a mason, I don't know if he could figure out
They
the
would.
cost on that,
That's
but,
not a big deal.
you know. The ansel system is the most costly, those are usually around $25,000 to $30,000 for a hood. But, the appliances aren't that expensive, so
Yeah,
I
Right.
think what I was asking for with brand new stuff, excluding the ansel system. Was like $20,000, so including the
Yeah.
ansel system was like 45, 50
yeah.
50,000.
total. Well, that includes the 3-way sink, the low temp, that's like. Sanitation for the
Yeah.
dishwasher, the 3-way sink, the convection oven, and I don't know if I did the stove top, but. And then you would wanna put in stainless steels, well, the Ansel system is, that's
Right,
the exhaust.
put it in all.
But the other, and it's also like the fire system,
Right.
suppression system
Yeah.
that's built in, and then you would also wanna put in stainless steel tables.
Right, to prep on.
Yeah, because those are really essential, and then you'd want some cabinets,
Alright.
that are animal resistant, in case, you know,
Yeah.
anything ever comes in, we all live in a, we live
Yeah,
in
we-
fields, there's
yeah.
mice.
There's mice.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next meeting will be Monday, July 7th at 6 P.M.
Okay.
Dan, you have a task of talking with Becky
And,
and.
and really scour that Rolodex for anybody who can help on any of these things.
Yes, yes. I will ask around to see who I can find who's done a bunch of this stuff.
Okay.
Great.
And not that we're trying to skirt open meeting law, but my understanding is it would be completely legal for you to report a bunch of things to Jen. And Jen would be able to update everyone else.
Yes,
We
Okay.
can't make any decisions or deliberation,
but we
but
can
we
share
can
information.
pass information.
Of course,
Safest to do is to send to Jen and
Yeah.
tell her to please
Yep.
forward.
Yeah,
Yep. Just like the town.
yeah,
like a select
exactly.
board for
Just
me.
send me all the deeds.
Okay,
So,
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. Okay, we'll do this by roll call. Trevor,
I'm Trevor McDaniel.
Dan,
Hi, Dan Murphy.
Joyce Palmer Fortune.
Thank you
Hey,
all.
thank you, everybody, for.
Yeah.
I feel like we got a lot of stuff covered today and